Hi, I'm Roseanne Durso, executive producer of The Best Years. My job is to make certain that I book fun and informative guests every month. Each segment we do is unique in its own way, but one of my favorite segments featured my friends, Debbie and Chuck Robinson, who spoke about their passion, shelling.
Now, let's take off our sneakers and put on our flip-flops. With some of the best beaches in the nation, Ocean County is a great place for shelling, a fun, healthy hobby, and there's no telling what you might discover. Joining me today are Debbie and Chuck Robinson to tell us more about shelling and a book they've written called The Art of Shelling. Welcome to the program.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Thank you. You're welcome. Debbie, what made you decide to write a book about shelling?
We, for many years, Chuck and I went to beaches and traveled and don't like to just sit, so we picked up shells and just studied them and learned more and more about them and did some shell talks at libraries, community centers, and to different groups. And we were at a library and a woman in the audience after our show said, "You should write a book." She was complimentary about our information and all. So we left that night and very quickly just started thinking about that. And that was late spring, and by September we had the contents of a book written out and just kept working on it.
And now you've become known as the shell experts, I understand.
Yes, that's...
Chuck, for people who want to get started right now in Ocean County, where are some good places to go shelling?
A very good place is at the amusement pier in Seaside. We were just there recently, and I was surprised that we found so many different varieties of shells. We even found a couple that we hadn't found in New Jersey before, so we thought that was really good. Down at Barnegat Light, down at Old Barney, the lighthouse, that's another wonderful place to go. You're going to have good shelling success there if you take the time to walk all the way out to the ocean along the jetty there.
And Debbie, you've brought with you some shells that were found right here in New Jersey. Can you please tell me about a few of them?
Yes, most of these are from New Jersey, and we hear very often people say to us, there aren't that many shells in New Jersey, or they're not that exciting or that colorful. But in fact, then when we start to talk about them, here we have a couple of snail shells, and one thing that we like about this shell is that the whorl, and you can see it has some blue colors here, and actually when you look for these, and at Barnegat Light they're even bigger than this one, like size of tennis balls. They have blues and yellows, so they are very colorful. And we have some clam shells. We have our regular old surf clam, and we can tell quite a lesson with the surf clam, and also a quahog. And with this shell, you can see how it has purple on it, so it does have the color. That's what people like a lot. And this is the shell that the Indians made wampum from.
And Chuck, how are shells formed?
It's very interesting. An important thing to understand is that the shell that we find on the beach is actually the supporting structure of an animal called a mollusk. And the mollusk is always attached to its shell. And when the animal gets bigger, it needs to make its supporting structure bigger, just like our bones have to become bigger as we grow. And how that happens is, and the shell I happen to be holding here is the knobbed whelk. It's the state shell of New Jersey. And it's a very good shell to show the growth process. And I'm going to turn it over, and you can see this particular knobbed whelk has a beautiful orange color inside. Now, when the knobbed whelk starts out, it's very, very small. It's the size of a pencil point. And as it grows bigger, right along what's called the lip of the shell, the animal puts a gel form of calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate is similar to calcium that our bones are made of. So it puts a thin layer along the lip of the shell. And as that happens, the layers are always different every time the process goes on. And as you can see here, the lines form, the growth lines form. So that's how all mollusks actually make their shells, by putting that gel-like calcium, liquid calcium, gel-like calcium on the lip of the shell.
And Debbie, in your book, will it tell people if they're interested in getting started with shelling where they might do it in Ocean County?
Yes, definitely. What our book does, it takes you to locations from Maine through Florida and on the west coast of Florida. And as in New Jersey, we tell them exactly where to go, where to park even, and where to walk onto the beach. And different beach locations, there's different spots on the beach and different ways that you're going to look for shells. So the technique is different, and at each location we talk about exactly what to do at that location.
It's a great activity, great exercise, lots of fun. And in addition to your book on shelling, you've also written a second book. Tell me a little bit about that book and why it's great for seniors to get involved with their grandchildren.
Yeah, this book is a really fun book, Treasure for Our Sandcastle, and it was written for pre-kindergarten through third graders, and it's an educational story, and it's fun reading. Teachers love it because it's not just whimsical. And what the children do as they read the book, they're really, the characters are walking along the beach. They build a sandcastle and they go looking off for treasure. But as they're walking along the beach, they're finding different shells that you see here on the table. And it has a good little moral to the story, and I'm not going to give that away. So it's a fun story.
You'll have to get the book and read it.
Yes,
and,
yes.
And Chuck, finally, what is so great about shelling? Why are you two so passionate about shelling?
Well, we enjoy the outdoors so much. We were born and raised at the New Jersey shore, so seashells were a natural part of our upbringing. We went to the beach, and as we became adults, that desire to look for them was still there, but it also created more of an interest as to why does one shell look different than the other, why is some colorful, some are not. So that allowed us to do some study. The great thing about shelling is you're out, as I said, being outside, you're getting your exercise, you're meeting different people that share the same interest as you, and it's allows us to travel to different places, and it's just a very, very fun activity.
And besides New Jersey, there are great places all over the U.S. for shelling. What's one of your favorite places, Debbie?
Well, certainly we have to mention Sanibel Island. That's the really shell capital of our nation, and so many people travel there and explore the beaches. Yes, in Florida, on the west coast of Florida. And you really can park right at the beach. It's very accessible, and you can find shells no matter where you go there. Although in our book we do talk about some specific spots on Sanibel and how to look for some things that you'll have success finding that are specific to that area.
Well, Debbie and Chuck Robinson, I want to thank you so much for being here today, bringing your wonderful shells with you. We've learned a lot about shelling. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Now, if you'd like more information on the art of shelling or treasure for our sandcastle, visit www.theartofshelling.com.